lurking shadows, unearthing the fire cult's secrets. Scary story. The cult of fire. Fire is nothing else but light in its purest state of matter, giving our eyes an unimaginable spiritual significance, as it is through sight that light enters our organism. With that point explained, it's easy to understand the assertion that human life, as we experience it, is directly linked to fire. From that idea, it's not difficult to grasp that, in fact, even scientists know perfectly well that without fire, humanity would never have progressed so far. Evolutionarily speaking, the first mammals developed the sense of sight as a tool to ensure their survival over other species. Millions of years later, when hominids discovered they could create fire through friction, an evolution began that could not be stopped by anything or anyone. My name is Elias. I live in the northern part of the country, and I am the last member of a long dynasty of witches belonging to the cult of fire. The traditions of the cult dictate that only women can learn the skills and powers of fire magic. Moreover, only women are allowed to have children. My mother had 3 children, my 2 sisters, and me. Each of my sisters also had 3 children, but they were all boys. Therefore, according to the beliefs of the cult, it is considered that my sisters were not born with the gift, because everyone born with the gift can inherit it. And since it can only be inherited by women, and my sisters didn't have daughters, they were not born with the gift, only with the ability to learn. It might sound confusing, but it's quite simple in reality. That's why I said I am the last member of the dynasty, because I was indeed born with the gift. But as a man, I am not allowed to develop my abilities or have offspring. Those of us who are part of the cult of fire are educated according to the teachings of something called the path of light. It would be the equivalent of the Bible and the Torah. The path of light teaches us the values and principles that anyone belonging to the cult of fire must adopt. As evident, only the descendants of the original founders, who were highly skilled and dangerous witches to their enemies, can belong to this cult. The path of light is gradually imparted as children grow. Ideally, by the age of 13, everyone should have assimilated this knowledge, because from that age onwards, the learning of the pillars of fire magic begins. I must clarify that all men in the cult of fire undergo a test to determine whether or not we can have contact with the outside world. Women are free to apply, but none are obligated. Typically, only 4 or 5 members are allowed to interact with the mundane world each year, and they are always men. This is due to a simple reason. The cult has its rules: women handle magic, and men make contact with the outside world. Moreover, it's rare for a woman to pass the test, and if it happens, the council intervenes to annul the result. Everything is done for the well-being of the cult. We are secretive, but it is to preserve and protect our beliefs and traditions, not because we are a sect. To begin with, the mere fact that I have agreed to make my testimony public is evidence that we are not sectarian. I am not a rebel. The council authorized me to speak. Certainly, I cannot reveal our location or the names of our leaders, but I can say that our most important ceremony is celebrated on October 31. This date was chosen because at the location of the celebration, it is the night when the sky is clearest, providing us with the best view of the stars. This is crucial for us because distant stars are cosmic fires that illuminate the firmament. It is vital to be in contact with cosmic fire during our celebration because it is the night when we take a step further in the evolution of our internal flame. That flame will give more warmth and vitality to our hearts, more warmth to our spirits, and more warmth to our minds. And there is no fire more powerful or pure than the one that keeps the stars alive. That's why our most important celebration takes place on October 31. The Cult of Fire. I would like to tell you a bit about the ancient roots of our cult. It all began with the mythological deification of the sun in various cultures: Apollo, Helios, Ra, Dionysus, Quetzalcoatl, and Vishnu. People lit bonfires at night dedicated to these gods, not as a source of warmth, but as a plea for the sun to shine again the next day. From these beliefs, cloudy days and eclipses were interpreted as harbingers of evil because the only good thing was the sun. Following the same principle, the night became the ultimate symbol of evil, but this evil was fought by the night sun and its army. The moon and the stars of the firmament. Beliefs and traditions evolved into religions, with their highest representatives being witches or priests. In their temples and other sacred places, they always had a fire burning, illuminating not only the place, but also enlightening the minds and spirits of those who came to these sacred places. I clarify, this doesn't mean our cult has existed for thousands of years. The founding witches simply tapped into the collective memory of fire to gain knowledge. It is crucial to explain that, at least for us, fire is not just another element of nature, but an extension of the gods. Therefore, it is conscious, meaning through fire, we can access all ancient knowledge. I understand that what I'm sharing might sound too strange, but that doesn't make it inherently wrong. Humanity has always feared the unknown. I emphasize this because I must say our supreme God is Lucifer. He was the original fire, the light that triggered our existence. Even Judeo-Christian texts mention him indirectly. Humanity thrived as a species because Adam and Eve could procreate on Earth, and they were on Earth only because they were expelled from paradise precisely for following the advice of the serpent. In Greek mythology, we hear about Prometheus, a titan who was a friend to mortals. His friendship with humans was so strong that he decided to steal the fire of the gods, to give it to humans. Due to his act, he was punished, chained to a rock, while an eagle preyed upon him. The forbidden fruit and the fire of the gods are the same thing. Knowledge. Judeo-Christians say the serpent deceived. The Greeks say Prometheus helped humans. This boils down to an event that can be interpreted depending on the perspective. But the fact that we, the cult members, are here in Mexico has a very powerful reason. Allow me to explain. Prometheus is the serpent, Lucifer, and Prometheus, the serpent, was condemned while an eagle preyed upon him. The most important prophecy in Aztec mythology precisely speaks of an eagle subduing a serpent. Cult of Fire couldn't be anywhere else but Mexico. We were destined to be here. I understand that many people might perceive Lucifer as the villain, as the serpent, but we see him as a friend, as Prometheus. We don't consider ourselves satanic or atheistic because Yahweh, Jehovah, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't exist for us. God exists, but in our cult, God is Lucifer. This doesn't make us evil, it just makes us different. We don't engage in human sacrifices, drink blood, perform rituals with goats, or conduct black masses. What we do is worship our God, Lucifer, using fire magic. To make it clear that this has no trace of malevolence, let me explain what fire magic entails. First and foremost, our magic is used for transformation and destruction, but not in the negative sense. We use magic to destroy selfish desires and unwanted impulses. The proper use of fire magic extends the vitality of the witch who employs it. Still, I won't deny that the same magic can be misused by a corrupt witch. A corrupt fire witch uses magic to manipulate her surroundings, intervenes in events, and disrupts the natural course of reality. A corrupt witch is a devolved and highly irresponsible being. Also, using fire magic for improper practices wreaks havoc on the witch. The most significant consequence is that the witch becomes permanently sterile. The very nature of our magic prevents an unworthy individual from having the ability to create life. Corrupt witches are not more powerful or weaker than non-corrupt witches because, regardless of its purpose, fire will always be fire. Fire magic possesses neither goodness nor malice. It doesn't empower the user, much like a gun that can be used for defense or attack. Within our cult, there is nothing more despicable than a corrupt witch. When we detect one, the council assigns one of our witches to confront and defeat her. Subsequently, she undergoes trial and is ultimately punished with the only penalty for a corrupt witch death. Fortunately, having to kill a corrupt witch is not very common. They don't appear frequently. This is why we teach the path of light. However, these teachings are what can lead a witch to corruption. The last lesson of the path of light tells us that our reality begins and ends with us. Regardless of whether we were good or bad, we will all go with Lucifer, and he will decide, based on his criteria, whether we reincarnate or if our soul will be destroyed. This belief complements our understanding that each soul has a limited number of allowed reincarnations. As it's impossible to know if we will reincarnate or not, some witches decide to take the risk, thinking they won't reincarnate, so it doesn't matter if they are good or bad. Their soul will be destroyed anyway. That's the argument corrupt witches present during their trial. Another argument is that the path of light teaches that selfishness is crucial. It's true for us. Selfishness is one of the pillars of our beliefs. Our cult has survived thanks to the selfishness of not allowing anyone without blood ties into the cult. An important lesson about selfishness, which distinguishes our magic from others, is that fire magic doesn't allow helping anyone who doesn't personally request it. Other types of magic, by allowing requests on behalf of others, merely demonstrate an evolution to the magic we practice. Fire magic prohibits requests for others due to several reasons. Firstly, in the case of curing a deadly illness, prolonging someone else's life might unknowingly harm them. For instance, imagine magically curing someone of lung cancer. What if, after 3 years, they are simultaneously attacked by 2 different cancers? In this case, saving them would only worsen their life. However, the most crucial issue is that our magic doesn't allow helping those who don't ask for it, because we are not allowed to meddle in the destinies of others, a trait exhibited by corrupt witches. So, while selfishness is important, the path of light is clear about it. Selfishness can be substantial as long as it doesn't interfere with the well-being of our community. A corrupt witch fails to adhere to this limitation. They believe themselves more important than the cult. No one can be above the cult. Hence, the punishment is death. I cannot provide details on how these witches die, but I can assure you it is not a quick death. The punishment they receive before dying is equivalent to all the havoc they caused. Records indicate that the witch subjected to the longest punishment assisted a politician in the 1960s to win elections. Her punishment was severe because she not only was corrupt, but also made contact with the outside world, strictly forbidden for witches. Hence, she was punished for 13 hours before receiving death. Within the cult, we have never used fire to kill corrupt witches because fire is a purifier. If we burn them, we would be doing them a favor. The idea that fire is purifying is not exclusive to our cult. Witches worldwide understand this. During the Catholic Inquisition's genocide, they reported women laughing while being burned. Those women were genuine witches, laughing because the church, by burning them, was cleansing them of all sins. Returning to our cult, There are ranks that determine who can use certain types of fire. There are witches of yellow fire, orange fire, red fire, and the most experienced are those of blue fire. The council consists of witches who handle green fire. However, these ranks do not function like martial arts. One cannot ascend in grade. You are born with the assigned rank, determined by the type of soul you have when entering the world. For example, my mother and the eldest of my sisters were born with a soul allowing them to handle orange fire. The youngest of my sisters has a different soul type, enabling her to handle yellow fire. My grandmother had the required soul type for handling blue fire, and I possess the soul type to handle yellow fire. Still, as a man, I cannot practice magic. I would like to explain the types of souls and why each soul allows the use of a different fire type, but it would be quite complicated. What is a bit simpler to explain is which type of witch can give life to other types of witches. This works somewhat like blood types. Witches of blue fire can have daughters who can handle any type of fire. Witches of red fire cannot have daughters of blue fire, but can have daughters of other fires. Witches of orange and yellow fire can only have daughters who handle yellow or green fire, and witches of green fire cannot give birth to witches of blue fire. You might be wondering how the founding witches had offspring if they never accepted people with different types of magic, let alone mere mortals. What happened was that these witches were so powerful that each could create a daughter and a son, thus starting the lineage of the cult of fire. We are not a very large cult. Currently, we number around 2,500, perhaps a bit fewer. Our headquarters is in the state of Mexico, and there are 6 other states with a considerable number of followers: Morelos, Tlaxcala, Aguascalientes, Guanajuato, Puebla, and Querétaro. The council is in Veracruz, and the executions of corrupt witches are carried out in Baja California Sur. I clarify, the place where we gather on October 31 is not in any of the states I just mentioned. There's an important reason why we are so dispersed. Magic, whether good or bad, has always been considered by governments as a constant threat that undermines order, educational institutions, and religion. Having all followers in the same city would be like shooting ourselves in the foot. It would jeopardize our secrecy and, therefore, our existence. And with that, I conclude my testimony. I would like to thank the person who contacted me, as it allowed me to talk about my cult without focusing solely on the morbid aspects. I would like to add, one should never judge what they do not know. My cult consists of witches who worship Lucifer, but that does not make us evil. One last thing, do not believe in books that teach how to cast love spells or any other type of enchantment, no matter if it's to help your loved ones. Everything you do has repercussions on your karma. To better understand, the universal order is like a calm water pond, and magic is a stone. It doesn't matter if you throw the stone to the good or bad side. When it lands in the water, it will disturb its calmness and create ripples that will reach you. Thank you for joining us for this spine-tingling story. We hope you found it both thrilling and thought-provoking. If you enjoyed this video, please consider participating in our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing it with your friends. Your support goes a long way in helping us create more engaging content for you. Goodbye, and may you always tread carefully in the world of the unknown.